You have to be sincere with what it is that you are actually offering, because it's one thing to offer something and hope to be able to achieve it. It's another thing to offer something and actually not have any idea how to be able to deliver.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loop Me In. This is the podcast for job seekers, young millennials in the workforce, and for the go-getters and the visionaries. In Loop Me In, we will discuss the new opportunities in the job market, trends, innovations in different industries, and we will loop in thought leaders, corporate executives, entrepreneurs to pick their brains and listen to their inspiring success stories. By the way, this is Jules Rodriguez, and I am co-founder of Plastic Tides. Our nonprofit organization is on a mission to clean the rivers and seas, not just here in the Philippines, but also in the entire world. I would also like to greet our listeners in the US, Spain, New Zealand, and Australia. Please, guys, we would love to hear from all of you. Just send us a message and we'd love to respond online. We're available on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, and Podbean. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, delivering a pitch effectively is one of the best skills that can help anyone in their careers. It's not enough to think of several ideas. You must also have the skill to communicate your ideas effectively. And a good pitch can turn your ideas into actual projects or a new product that will eventually lead to new clients, new deals, and customers. But making a sale is not just the end result of why we need to communicate our ideas well. According to Simon Sinek, a motivational speaker and author, he says, "We are drawn to leaders that are good in communicating what they believe. Their ability to make us feel like we belong, to make us feel special, safe, and not alone is part of what gives them the ability to inspire us." So, for this episode in Loop Me In, I would like to emphasize that the art of making a good pitch can make a big difference in our society. Our guest for today is the executive producer and the host of The Final Pitch in CNN Philippines. It was just an idea inspired by the Emmy Award-winning shows Shark Tank and The Apprentice, and now The Final Pitch is on its 5th season, helping Filipino entrepreneurs make a contribution in our economy. He's also the president and founder of Street Park Productions and the chief exponential officer of Dragon's Nest, a venture builder that will build the region's next exponential startups. John is also a licensed real estate broker and a producer of the country's first real estate and construction TV show, Philippine Realty TV, which is now on its 18th season. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be looping in Mr. John Aguilar. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, Jules, great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
How have you been doing? Especially this whole quarantine, this whole COVID thing, being stuck at home. How have you been feeling and how have you been doing lately?
How have I been doing? I guess as best as I can cope with, this whatever's happening, just like everyone else. It's been a tough time for everyone. I mean, I'm naturally a very optimistic person. I mean, I'm an optimistic entrepreneur. I always like to think that we are at a point where we can always improve on our current situation. And sometimes, you hear bad news left and right. I mean, you try to be positive about things, but it has been a very interesting time, not just for a lot of people. I mean, for me in particular, it's been causing me a lot of grief, but at the same time, it's been causing me also a lot of sleepless nights, just trying to think of all of the opportunities that are out there, ripe for the picking. So it's a combination of both being scared and being optimistic as well. I don't know about you, but that's how I've been spending my days.
I appreciate the fact that you're being 100% honest in your way of expressing it, because I also feel like there's a lot of people out there who are going through the same similar scenario. And the reason why we do have this show is to be able to really express as well that people are still hustling, people are still fighting to have a livelihood, and that's the voice that we want to let out into this community. That there are different ways to be able to adapt, and this COVID challenge for us is also something that everyone is going through. So, that being the problem, at the very least, we all have opinions and perspectives on how each and everyone is dealing. And I just feel like that the final pitch really gives us a garden of opportunities to be able to really determine now what the best opportunities are for a challenge like this. The final pitch has become the Philippines sort of Shark Tank. You know, this is the way that most Pinoys are finding out now how to talk to executives, how to talk to investors. How did this whole idea just grow? I mean, how did you start this?
Okay, so Jules, I'm a child of television, right? I'm 40. I'm turning 43 now. I grew up at a time when we had like five TV networks out there, right? We would watch the same cartoons every weekend, and just entertainment was just strictly to those maybe two TV networks that we would watch constantly. And growing up, I had really the television as a buddy of mine, right? I would watch it, and I had a really deep appreciation for the medium because it taught me a lot. I mean, it taught me to watch certain shows that if I watched, I knew that I would learn something from it. And through the years, it's been like that, ever since. I've always treated the medium with respect. I've always wanted to be able to eventually produce shows that people could learn from and really derive value from. I think to me, that's the most important aspect of what I do as a TV producer. So the genesis for the final pitch was really from watching recent years Shark Tank and all of the other great reality shows that personally for me, I grew up watching and kind of emulating in a sense. I would get, the learnings that I could from TV shows such as Survivor, The Apprentice. And to me, these were more than just reality shows. To me, they were really a study in human psychology. They were a study in business because primarily my interest in the television medium is a medium of not just education, which is a very important for me, but also as a medium for commerce, for business. And the final pitch is, I guess, a culmination of all of those years when I've always thought that I could actually produce something and make money out of it as a profession, as a business, but at the same time have a deeper, I guess, impact to people who probably will watch some of the things that we produce and at the end of that 30 minutes walk away having learned something or me having inspired them to probably take action on something that they probably should have started a long time ago.
John, one of the things that really excites me also, thinking about your show as well, is that the beauty of reality television is that you're able to get even the most minute reactions. I mean, you're really putting entrepreneurs through the fire with your show. And essentially, what you're trying to do is distill the most effective skills and to be able to determine their grit in this whole entrepreneur world. So I want to know, what are the most memorable pitches that you've had on the show, right from the top of your head? What were the ideas that to you were like, oh my gosh, I got into this show, I didn't expect any answer like this, but wow, you just blew me out of the water. From seasons 1 to 5.
Wow, there's been a lot since the first season, but and also in terms of the pitches, it's not even sometimes what you see on TV because everything begins with them auditioning. So they actually audition to us either if they're from Mindanao or from out of the country, they audition to us like what we're doing now no, on video. And a lot of them who we invite to our office, when they pitched to us, you could really see that um, some of them have absolutely no idea what they're doing, but others, you would realize, and this we would realize as the production team after the show, and if they would get something out of it, if they would get an investment, they would. There's this one entrepreneur from season one, Vincent Lau. He's actually Chinese American, based in Silicon Valley, but pitched on the show because he found out about the final pitch, and this was during our first season. He has a team that's based here in the Philippines, and he was at his wits' end that time. Had minimal funding, almost zero funding, pitched on the show, and right before the finale, right before the final pitch, um, he told us that because he would fly in and out from San Francisco to go to the Philippines, shoot, and come back to his wife, who was, I think, 7 months pregnant that time. So the hustle of trying to shoot a reality show, going back to the wife, coming back and shooting whatever it is that we had to have him shoot, was, it really took a toll on him. And the his wife told him right before the finale. The wife told him, Vince, you have to close this deal. If you don't close this deal, I don't care what happens. You have to get a job. So to him, that was like a make or break moment, right? I mean, you have a wife on the way. You're trying to build this startup. If you don't succeed with this one pitch that he had to make in front of, you know, uh, 9 cameras, and if he doesn't make it, then that's it. His entrepreneurial dreams would have been over. And the next logical thing for him to do was to go back to San Francisco and get a job. So he got the investment on the show, right? That's the $300,000 investment from the Doña Maria group, and also from Joe Magsaysay from Potato Corner. Pretty much set him up for his successes now. Right now, I think they're trying to seek their. I think they're looking for their Series A funding. About a year after, when we had coffee with him one time, he told us, "You had no idea. I mean, you guys have no idea how close to just quitting I was that time. If not for the show, I wouldn't be here right now." So I think that's one of the most memorable pitches. Not so much how he pitched, but the story behind it.
John, I think what fascinates me is that you have a show where people are willing to put everything on the line for the pitch. It's like everything. It's, when you have a theater show or you have a theater presentation, and people are like, I just gotta be there for that opening night. And that's what I feel like Final Pitch draws out of people. You really draw the excellence out of them just to be able to determine what characteristics they have to be able to actually do well with your investors. My question is, what would you say, or what sort of mentality would you say sort of shines in the show? What sort of mindset stands out to you as a producer, wherein you see someone and you say, that's the type of person we want?
I can tell you one thing: the people who have succeeded in the show are the ones that are not necessarily the best at pitching, right? I mean, you could be good at pitching. I mean, that can get your foot in the door. But at the end of the day, it's really the person who is sincere, and I guess who has really a plan, and has the depth of character and the grit to follow through. Because I feel sometimes that, a lot of people are just really good at, communicating. But I think to be successful, you have to be more than just a good communicator. You said in your intro a while ago, the importance of being a good communicator. But I think beyond that, it's having that skill, but at the same time having, I guess, the adversity quotient to be able to weather the 1,001 storms that you will eventually face after you've gotten back the investment. I think, you know, uh, bottom line, that's what's important.
What I'm getting from you now is that this is your method of distilling the creme de la creme of this entrepreneur world, wherein you're able to get the people who have a much more rounded set of skills to be able to be the entrepreneur that the show imagines the ideal entrepreneur to be. I understand also that through the success of the show, you're now even looking to expand beyond the Philippine market into ASEAN markets. So I want to know, like, I don't want to ask too many questions. Just give me the 101, what's going on with the final pitch in the ASEAN market?
Okay, so pre-COVID, I was supposed to go on a road show across Southeast Asia. That was March, right? So I was actually explaining to my wife, okay, there's a danger of this COVID thing just spreading and going totally wild. I was about to book my flights to Singapore, Thailand. I had just been to Vietnam a couple of months ago. So I was going on this road show to try to assess the market, right? Because our plan is to be able to come out with the final pitch by next year to shoot the ASEAN version of the final pitch by next year, involving six countries. So we would get investors from each of six Southeast Asian countries, namely the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Indonesia. So one investor would represent each country, and they would all converge in Singapore, where they will hear pitches from startups from across the region. So COVID happened, and the shit hit the fan, and needless to say, I postponed that roadshow, but this is something that we're going to be doing hopefully by next year once the vaccine is out. We plan to resume that roadshow because we feel that the final pitch really is something that can potentially be the regional business reality show of Southeast Asia. I mean, we've been successful in mounting it here in the Philippines. The business model works, and we've proven with our 5 seasons that there really is a place for a show that will enable investors to um, basically link these investors to these entrepreneurs and startups. And the format as well, we feel is something that is well suited for the Southeast Asian region, just because of the relative newness of this kind of, I guess, ecosystem. But it's a growing, the startup ecosystem. It's a growing ecosystem here in Southeast Asia, and really people from across the globe are really looking at us right now. So we feel that this is a great time to expand. And once COVID takes its toll, and we are able to do that, then that is part of our plan. And we hope that it's also something that's going to put Philippine content on the map, because we also want it to be a proudly Filipino produced TV show for the ASEAN market.
There are people out there who also, they're not on a show, they're not on final pitch, or they're not on some sort of reality show, but they still are pitching to businesses, to investors, to so many people out there who could actually support them. So what would you say are the key points or the main bit of advice that you would give to someone who's actually pitching to a potential investor? What would you say, through your experience, has been useful in someone being able to pitch their life, their dream to someone else?
The most important advice that I could give someone, and this is based on the experience of having seen all of these startups pitch and having seen also what happened after, right? Um, is just really try to be sincere. And from day one, from the moment that you step into, it doesn't even have to be our show, right? If you're going to pitch your business, your idea to a potential partner and investor, the sincerity has to be there 100%. You have to be sincere with who you are, what your strengths, weaknesses are. You have to be sincere with what it is that you are actually offering, because it's one thing to offer something and hope to be able to achieve it. It's another thing to offer something and actually not have any idea how to be able to deliver, right? I think you have to be sincere and acknowledge where you are in your business, right? You cannot overpromise. You can over deliver, definitely, you should do, but you can never over promise to the point where it could be misleading. You have to be sincere. You have to be sincere with your why, your purpose for doing that business. I think if you are sincere with yourself as well, if you know why you are doing something, then no matter how hard it is, I think you'll move heaven and earth just to make sure that it happens, right? But if you're not sincere with your mission, then it's going to be such an uphill battle. But if you really want to do that thing it is that you want to do and that you're pitching, nothing will stop you, right? Uh, and I feel like for me, even as an entrepreneur, the businesses that have succeeded for me are the ones that I really wanted to pursue 100%.
There are now people out there who are pitching digitally. They're doing it through Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, and they're trying to get their business going digitally as well and pitching the same way that we're talking now. So I wanna ask you, what are now your tips for anyone who's pitching digitally as well? The way we're talking now, the way we're interacting, I feel like people need tips as well on when they're talking to possible investors. But this time, through Zoom, through Google Meet, or through Skype, is there anything that you can impart onto our listeners that would kind of give them an idea on how the world is adjusting as well to pitches through digital medium?
At the start, I couldn't even imagine this happening because uh, truly everyone knows the difference between pitching, or it doesn't even have to be pitching. It's explaining something to someone, right? It's really different when you're face to face. But the thing is, what I also discovered is the nuances of a face to face interaction and doing something on Zoom. I've learned in time that people have adjusted, right? I mean, there's no physical handshake, but you do see the person, right? You do address the person. You're looking at that person right in front of you, and I feel that the only, I guess, dilemma is when you're presenting, like for example, slides, because they can't really see you, right? But other than that, I think there's no reason why you can't close deals or you cannot convince someone of something just because you're on Zoom. In fact, I've heard a lot of deals push through, and it's done on Zoom because at the end of the day, these deals need to get done. I mean, people need to be able to invest in businesses, and people are out there. Actually, money is out there looking for the proper place to go, and these deals are happening despite the lockdown. So I think practical tips would be, uh, speak with the person as though you were, I guess, also face to face, but also prepare. I think it's important to be able to put yourself in the proper frame of mind. Shower. You should shower, brush your teeth, of course. Dress appropriately. I think a lot of people tend to forget that that is still an important thing that you need to do, even if you're online. I think I've seen my fair share of shabbily clad, people, and I am guilty of this as well sometimes. But that was mostly during the first part when we had the lockdown. I think around March, I would still kind of figure out, okay, maybe this would be okay. But I think no excuse because we should be used to this. In fact, yesterday I moderated this event for the Department of Tourism, and I was at the Marriott. I was being filmed there on a stage with the interviewee, who was Francis Kong, at home since he couldn't come to the venue. And I asked the guy, he dressed like he would normally, be addressing like hundreds of people, right? Very smartly dressed, very dapper. And I asked him, so Mr. Kong, uh, I've been dying to ask, are you wearing pants or are you wearing shorts? And he said, John, I'm wearing pants. And he showed me his pants. I'm even wearing leather shoes, he said. So, the professional, the consummate professional that he is, he knows that to be able to perform at your best, you have to put yourself in the psyche of someone who's going to perform, right? He even said that it's actually harder sometimes to prepare for a video call just because there are technical issues as well that you have to fix. But I think the important thing is to give the medium the respect that it deserves, because at the end of the day, how you're dressed, how you prepare also speaks well of how you value the person that you're talking to or that you're engaging with. So I think that's something that we're all going to have to learn as we are transitioning to what is now our new normal.
What can you tell people who are kind of like torn between going for their dream jobs or their careers versus the ones who are looking for a job now? Is it a great idea to pitch your dream idea during a job interview? Because there's this duality of your life goals, right? What do you have to say to someone who's right on that fence?
I think if you look at it in the context of someone who's applying for a job, but also has a big vision beyond, just getting that job, I would think the perfect way to communicate that would be to communicate what you want to achieve and not necessarily what you want to achieve for yourself. I think if you're able to communicate to that person who's doing the interview that there's this vision for what I want to achieve in life, um, um, whatever that is, because sometimes I feel like, and personally for me, this is what resonates with me. If someone tells me that they have this big goal that they want to happen and it's not necessarily focused on themselves, if it were a bigger goal that is beyond themselves, and them probably getting this job or doing something will allow them to get to that goal, then I totally respect that, right? Because to me that goal is not selfish in the sense that you are doing this because you want to achieve something for yourself. You're doing this because you want to achieve a greater thing or you want to achieve a higher calling. I think more than anything, that's what resonates with me. If you can explain why it is that this thing that is so big, maybe something you can't explain right now, you want to get there, but the steps that you will take is not necessarily because okay, I want this because somehow if I hear a lot of I, then sometimes that is not setting things up for a good conversation, right? If it's always I, this is what I want to do, this is what I want for myself, I want to I. But if the person's always saying there's this idea or there is this thing that um, is a dilemma or there is this opportunity that if people, and that I hold myself as part of that solution, if we can do something to be able to set ourselves up for that, then all of a sudden things take a 180-degree turn. um, you can tell, I think, from an interview just how passionate a person is. But sometimes the passion of a person um, is more towards a team effort, and sometimes you have your lone wolf, right? And sometimes there's nothing bad with either, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs are actually lone wolves, right?
Different
They
characteristics.
yeah, a lot of them just soldier on, and some of them start out on their own, and some of them have to be everything, like the driver, the messenger, the main salesperson, the marketing, everything. But if you're talking to someone in the context of getting a job and trying to achieve something so that you can get to where you are, you have to be a team player, and there is no I in that team, right? You have to be able to learn how to be able to see everything from the context of a larger organization or a group. And that, I think, is something, if I answered your question, I think that's what people look for. It's seeing someone who wants to be part of the solution, and the way to get there is through building something with the team.
And
I think that's
essentially, you would
yeah,
say that it's someone who can assimilate well and who can actually work well with the team, nga naman.
exactly. It's a foregone conclusion. I mean, you can't do everything on your own, right? It's really a team effort if you want to achieve great things. And I've seen that so many times as well with all of the entrepreneurs who have pitched. And personally, for me, these shows that we produce, I can't obviously can't do them on my own, right? I have a really solid team that is involved in the production of the final pitch. It was my vision, but to make it into a reality show that up till now, we're still trying to improve, every season, right? And if it were just my thoughts the whole time, then we would have stagnated a long time ago. Because as much as possible, I want to get people's thoughts as well. I try to solicit feedback from our audience, the people, particularly the bad feedback. That's what I really I'm searching for. And
That's fair. I mean, it's good nga naman to
because
take criticism
yeah,
like that, diba? Parang, just, if you're honest with criticism, it's good criticism.
yeah.
So okay, I just want to ask you, John. A lot of entrepreneurs now and a lot of aspiring business people are also on the fence about whether family should be incorporated or should be included in creating your dream plan. For example, it's not often that someone can pitch to a group of investors in front of them, but the most immediate ones would be family and friends in their own immediate vicinity. So what's your take on that? Like, do you have any advice for people who would even be considering pitching a business to family or friends? Or is it not advisable? Give me your thoughts on that as well.
Okay. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, for those who are thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, um, I think, and this is from both my personal experience and from the experience of almost everyone I know, you will always go through family. I think uh, at a certain point, if you're starting on your own, I mean, you don't have other partners. I think sometimes you don't have a choice. I mean, sometimes, like when I started my company in my mid 20s, I was 25 when I started it. I started from my room, and ironically, now we're back in. All of us are back in our bedrooms, right? Our home office, right? But you start from somewhere. Sometimes you don't have enough clients just to make payroll. Where are you going to find the money, right? If you were not born with a silver spoon and you don't have a lot of savings, I think at some point you will. It's not advisable though, just because it can tend to complicate things. Just make sure, I think, that it's money that you really borrow, right? It's money that you borrow, and it's clear that you have a payment plan in place, because it can put a lot of friction into relationships. And family you can never replace. I mean, if something bad happens, and uh, a business you can lose, right? Money you can lose, but family, if something goes wrong, then that's a big part of your life that if you lose, you can never get back. So I would be careful dealing with family if it's something as sensitive as money, just to make sure that the arrangement is as professional as you were engaging with someone who was not a member of your family. More so because you cannot afford to screw this up. I mean, family is probably the most important relationship that you can never take for granted, or sour. So, and that's also, I guess, why, well, some the some of these big corporations are family owned enterprises. It's very complicated as well. I've heard of a lot of stories of also how complicated family businesses can be, especially if it's at a mature stage, when you're a medium to large scale enterprise. And at some point, you really have to professionalize and bring in non-family members who will be able to, I guess, separate certain functions, and make things more objective. But I think uh, At the start, you will have to, but I think you will have to go um, past that. I mean, family, I think is a resource for you at the start, but eventually, if you get past that, then that's something that be thankful for, that you don't have to lean back on, I would think.
I think it's essentially what you're saying is it's good to lean on them, but you can't rely. I mean, you can't specifically put all your eggs in the family basket nga naman. Just,
Exactly.
you don't
Yeah.
want to mess up
Mhm.
anything that's already good between you two personally. So that's also a
Yes.
touchy or like, handle with care. Moving on, John, I did want to ask you about your one of your newest ventures, Dragon's Nest, and Street Park Productions as well. I know you do have goals and opportunities with this. I want to get a heads up. What's going on with Dragon's Nest? What is a technology venture builder?
A technology venture builder is a company that builds startups from the ground up, because usually the normal course of a startup, a technology startup, is that there's a founder. There is a founder or a group of founders who have an idea, a solution, or there is a particular opportunity that they would like to address or provide a solution for. What happens is they band together, they try to get funding, they try to get the right people involved. Eventually, they will start to build or attempt to build that startup. Eventually, try to find product market fit and hopefully grow their startup. In about 90% of the cases, the startup does not make it past the first year because of the tremendous amount of I guess challenges that are presented to them as they try to grow this venture. Now, a venture builder um, kind of works around that. No? The venture builder uh, provides the back end. So basically, all of the things that a startup founder would need. So in our case, we are putting up the venture builder where we will be building a number of startups in parallel. So we're building not one but multiple startups. We're getting entrepreneurs in residence who will be the CEOs of the startups. So it will be headed. They will be headed by entrepreneurs in residence, and we will be providing the back end support in marketing, in finance, in everything that essentially a normal startup would have to think of to be able to run a startup. So in this case, we're kind of shortcutting the process and also taking care of the funding, because we will be working with conglomerates who will be funding the startups that we will be building. So they will own a minority stake in the startup. And these strategic partners, conglomerates, will also be our key to eventually trying to find product market fit and eventually trying to test these experiments that we will be doing on our venture builder. And the thing about this is that we're actually going to be documenting everything as we're building these startups in a new reality show called The Venture Builder. So think of it as your big brother for startups, right? So for Big Brother, it's usually what happens to them after they become artistas. They become actors, whatever, singers. In this case, we're actually birthing the next startups that hopefully will be building these groundbreaking technologies that will try to solve our biggest problems, our biggest challenges right now, particularly right now in these very difficult times. So that's what we're going to do in our company. Our venture builder is called Dragon's Nest, and our nest is in Quezon City in Libis. It's actually all fully set up. This is actually like one part of the of Dragon's Nest with this background over here, this virtual background. Yeah. So yeah, we have offices there where the startups will be based in, and yeah, we just really made it comfortable in a conducive place. Eventually, when we do work there, whenever that is going to be eventually, we're going to document everything, how we experiment, how we build, how we eventually pivot. We're going to show everything in a reality series on CNN Philippines, and eventually, hopefully, if we succeed, we hope to also be able to sell this to Netflix down the road. So that's our big, I guess, a plan for the venture builder.
You know what, John? I feel like even beyond the physical location, the fact that you are also offering mentoring and guidance also from seasoned experts is already the advantage that you do have beyond everyone else. I mean, in my perspective from reality TV, the fact that you're already creating content out of it is kind of like an icing over the cake. This is like you're already building a good venture, but you're also being able to extract information and experience to be able to educate people about the process of how to actually start your own startup or really to push your own ventures. um, that's really something that I appreciate from this conversation that we're having, because this is really the time that people need to be like, you know, that one idea that I had before that I really feel like is going to make me a fulfilled individual all the way to the end of my life. I feel like I'm applying that now, or I feel like I need to apply that now. And that's really the type of person that you're looking for, the one who has made the decision that this is something that they want to do for the rest of their lives, or at the very least, for this chapter of their life. So, I want to ask, just before we end, what would you say to someone right now who maybe has just lost their job because of retrenchment, who maybe has this great startup or entrepreneurial idea, and they're still trying to decide whether they should go for it or not? What would you say to them if they were standing in front of you, John? What would you say to someone who's considering if they really wanted to go for their venture?
I would have given a different answer pre-COVID, but the answer that I'm giving now is that everyone right now is on survival mode, right? Not everyone is willing to risk, but I think the best answer that I give at this particular point in time is that all the more now, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. If you're at a point in your life when maybe you have enough money saved up that you can actually invest in building something, now is the perfect time to do it. I mean, we've all seen historically the best businesses, the most groundbreaking ones are those that have been born right after a major catastrophe or world changing um, catastrophic event, right? And right now, you can't get any better in terms of opportunities, right? The opportunities are just there overflowing. If you don't have the luxury to do it, maybe you're still lucky, you still have your job, stay at it, but have that maybe that side project or that idea right there. Try to build on it. Maybe do it after work or do it during the weekends, but do it now. And I think I cannot emphasize enough the time is ripe to be able to come up with new businesses. Now is the time. I mean, there are so many problems out there. In fact, if you go through social media, so many people are now home chefs, right? They have their own family recipes. Everyone wants to deliver, and everyone's just trying to figure out, what can I do right now that I can start with. And it doesn't even have to be that big, right? It can be just starting small on something. But I think knowing that there are so many opportunities out there, you just really have to risk it, right? If you have that luxury to start something, then do it now, and do it fast, because in hopefully it happens sooner than later, but hopefully we recover the semblance of normalcy that we've had. But not everyone's going to have these kind of interactions constantly, right? At some point, people are going to go back to face to face. People are going to start going back to malls, eating in restaurants. But before that happens, if you can create something that people can gravitate to and change their habits, and they become early adopters of something that you're offering, then I think that will bode well for whatever happens after all of this, right? This is the perfect time to experiment. This is the perfect time to try something crazy. I think more than anything, crazy ideas, I think all the more now are forgivable, right? I mean, people are not going to laugh at you if you start, like a bicycle delivery app, across your subdivision that goes to the next city, or if you start delivering, let's say, your home cooked meal that has absolutely no animal parts or animal protein that you just got from your taho vendor and converted it to a healthy, GMO free veggie dish, right? I mean, you can go crazy right now, and if you don't make it, then at least you tried, right? But I think now is the perfect time. Just go at it.
John, I just listening to you has kind of like really brightened the flame within me to to really just hustle,
I hope it was never
hustle.
extinguished,
No,
huh?
it's burning brighter than ever. To be quite honest,
There you go. There you go.
those were the words I personally needed to hear as well. So thank you. So, okay, I do know that you do have a growing team at Dragon's Nest and Street Park Productions. I want to ask, how can our listeners be part of your team? How can they send a resume or a CV? And, it's something that's also like inspiring for other people to join. How can they reach you and how can they find you as well on social media?
Sure. So yeah, just you can just send us an email. My personal email is john@dragonsnest.co, and Monica's email is monica@dragonsnest.co. So you can just send us an email. Let us know if you can be part of our team. We're actually looking for, in particular, people who can help us out in sales, both for our television shows and for our venture builder. So apart from the final pitch, we also have Philippine Realty TV, which is on its 18th season right now. So we build concept homes on that show. We actually build houses from the ground up. So that's an entirely different world altogether. And so we have Final Pitch, and we also have our upcoming show, The Venture Builder. So for TV, those are our reality shows, and also for other things, like for example, we also have requirements for. We're actually looking for people to join our production team. So writers, producers. When we do expand across Southeast Asia, we plan on growing our team as well. So we will need the best. And when I say the best, um, I when I say the best, I do not automatically just refer to people who have been like the biggest names in whatever network, or we're not looking for that. We're looking for a certain mindset where you're always open to improvement, and you're always at a point in your career where you are a beginner. We feel that's really the best team member to have on our team, is someone who, although they're good, they don't think or feel that they're good. They're always learning, and those are the kind of people that we want on our team. People who feel that you know um, their best has never come or will never come. Right? They're always striving to be better. That's always the mentality that we have in everything that we do. We always feel that whatever it is that we're doing now, we can improve on that next season, and we can be better. Like I can be a better producer, or I can be a better writer, or I can be a better, even our driver. We always remind him to be a better driver. So we're always at that mindset. It's a Shoshin mindset, the beginner's mindset. That's kind of how we always, and that's part of our company culture as well. We like to think of ourselves as constantly evolving beings, who will always get better at what we do. Because if you think you're so good or so hot, then maybe you're not.
John, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me your time to be able to also express your current missions right now. I know that it's also a challenge to be able to stay afloat during this time, right? So just this information that's coming from you is already so valuable to be able to inspire other people to look at their own personal projects in life and to actually feel like there is an opportunity and there is a life in this crazy unique idea that they have. So one thing's for sure, I'm so grateful to have you on the show, John, and it's like thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jules, for inviting me, and good luck to this podcast in general. As you know, it's a growing medium, and I think especially right now during the pandemic, it's all the more important to reach out to people in a platform where they can truly hear you and you can truly make a difference. I really believe that this kind of long form content is where you can really pick up the important things that you will need to get you to a place where you can actually improve your current situation. I think sometimes the bite-sized things that we get on social media or on things that we hear from other people, um, there's a tendency for us to just take these at face value and just get you down. But I feel that long form content, specifically as you have here on your show, the value is so immense and potentially exponential in terms of how it can impact people. And I admire what you are doing, and I really hope that more people will be able to listen to this podcast and the other future guests that you will have, because I feel that now is the time for us Filipinos to truly educate ourselves, in the decisions that we make, the things that we consume, the the people that we deal with, the kind of information that we take in, that will eventually help us decide as a nation on things that are important. Eventually, who we vote for, what we value as a culture, and what eventually we will do in the next couple of years to help set us up for a nation that can truly be first world country. I truly feel that we have the potential as a nation. We have the talent. Filipinos are bright. We're good. We're talented. We have the grit. We have the resilience to be able to get past this. And I think people like me, people like you, just need to be able to bridge the information and other people who can help our general population um, make good choices, make sound decisions. Because at the end of the day, we cannot row this boat just in different directions, right? We're never gonna go anywhere. We have to row as one. I think we just have to make a constant and conscious decision um, to help different stakeholders and just really help them try to achieve this. I think education is very important, and congratulations for the show, and kudos to you, man.
John, thank you so much. I just want to say as well that that's the beauty of getting into reality TV. You're able to create and express the reality that actually goes on. It's not sugar coated, it's not too fluffed up. It's really, this is what it is, and this is how you will see it when it's your time to pitch. So thank you so much, John. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being on the show. Loop me in.
Thanks, Jules.
And that ends our episode for today. Please listen and download our episodes on Spotify, Podbean, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You can also catch our episode on Facebook and YouTube. And of course, you can also catch us on our official website, connectpodcast.net. Please follow Connect's official social media accounts, and you can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My name is Jules Rodriguez, and this is Loop Me In.